The scammers who sold the Eiffel Tower. On May 7, 1925, a well-dressed man walked into the luxurious Hotel de Creil in Paris and convinced 6 of the city's biggest scrap metal dealers to attend a top-secret government meeting. What happened next was so outrageous, so brilliantly executed, that it became the most famous con in history. This man didn't just scam these businessmen out of thousands of dollars, he actually sold them the Eiffel Tower. And when he got away with it, he came back a month later and did it again. If you're enjoying stories like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We're diving deep into the most incredible scams and business stories that most people have never heard of. The man behind this legendary scam was Victor Lustig, and his story proves that with enough charm, confidence, and complete lack of morals, you can convince anyone to buy anything, even a national landmark that doesn't belong to you. Chapter 1. The birth of a master scammer. Victor Lustig was born in 1890 in Austria-Hungary. He was incredibly intelligent, spoke 5 languages fluently, and had a charm that could hypnotize anyone. Secret Service agents would later describe him as elusive as a puff of cigarette smoke and charming as a young girl's dream. By age 19, while studying in Paris, Lustig discovered his true calling: gambling and scamming fellow students. He got his distinctive facial scar from a jealous boyfriend, which became part of his signature look. After World War I, Lustig found his perfect hunting ground: luxury ocean liners between Europe and America. He would dress like a movie star and target wealthy passengers with fake investment opportunities, often pretending to be a Broadway producer. What made Lustig dangerous was his understanding of human psychology. He exploited people's greed with surgical precision. Chapter 2. The Romanian Money Box. Before his famous Eiffel Tower scam, Lustig perfected what became known as the Romanian Money Box, one of the most successful cons in history. Lustig created a machine that looked sophisticated, complete with gears and dials. He claimed it could duplicate currency using radium, but needed exactly 6 hours to work. The demonstration was genius. Insert a real $100 bill, wait 6 hours, and get 2 perfect bills back. Victims would pay $10,000 to $30,000 for the machine. But it was preloaded with just 2 counterfeit bills. After those, it produced nothing. One famous victim was a Texas sheriff who tracked Lustig to Chicago after being scammed. Even then, Lustig convinced him he was operating the device incorrectly and gave him a bag of counterfeit cash as compensation. Chapter 3. Setting up the Eiffel Tower con. In 1925, Lustig arrived in Paris and read a newspaper article that would inspire his greatest scam. The article discussed how expensive it was to maintain the Eiffel Tower, which was already 36 years old and falling into disrepair. Many Parisians actually wanted it torn down, calling it an eyesore and a ghastly dream. This gave Lustig a brilliant idea. What if he could convince people that the French government was secretly planning to sell the tower for scrap metal? Lustig hired a forger to create official-looking government letterhead and set up a fake office in the basement of the Hotel de Creil. He then researched the 6 largest scrap metal dealers in Paris and sent each of them a letter on official government stationery. The letter claimed to be from the Deputy Director General of the Ministry of Posts and Telegraphs, requesting their presence at a confidential meeting regarding a lucrative business opportunity. The key word was confidential. Lustig emphasized that absolute secrecy was required to avoid public outcry. Chapter 4. The First Sale. When the 6 dealers arrived, they found a well-dressed official who explained that the government could no longer afford maintenance costs and had decided to sell the tower for scrap metal. Everything had to remain secret to avoid public outcry. Lustig even arranged a private tower tour using fake credentials. During this, he studied each dealer for the perfect mark: André Poisson, a provincial businessman desperate to make his name in Parisian business circles. In a private meeting, Lustig hinted that as a government bureaucrat, he wasn't making much money despite handling such an important decision. Poisson understood. This was France, where corruption was expected. He agreed to pay 250,000 francs for the tower plus a 70,000 franc bribe in cash. Within an hour, Lustig was on a train to Vienna with $1.1 million in today's money. Chapter 5. The Aftermath and Second Sale. Here's the most incredible part of the whole story. When Poisson realized he'd been scammed, he was too embarrassed to call the police. He was so ashamed of falling for the con that he never reported it. Hoping to avoid public humiliation, Lustig waited anxiously in Vienna, reading French newspapers every day, expecting to see headlines about his scam. But week after week, there was nothing. No police reports, no newspaper stories, no manhunt. This gave Lustig an idea that was either incredibly bold or completely insane. He decided to go back to Paris and sell the Eiffel Tower again. A month later, Lustig returned to Paris and set up the exact same scam with a new group of scrap metal dealers. He used the same fake government credentials, the same Hotel de Creil office, and the same story about the tower being sold for scrap. This time, however, his luck ran out. The second victim grew suspicious and contacted the real French authorities before handing over any money. Lustig had to flee Paris immediately, this time permanently. Chapter 6. Scamming Al Capone. After escaping France, Lustig pulled off his most dangerous con, scamming Al Capone, America's most feared gangster. Lustig approached Capone with a $50,000 stock investment opportunity. Instead of stealing the money, he put it in a safety deposit box and waited 2 months. Then he returned to Capone, apologized that the deal fell through, and returned every penny. Impressed by Lustig's apparent honesty, Capone gave him $5,000 as goodwill to help him get back on his feet. Lustig had successfully conned Al Capone without technically stealing anything. Chapter 7. The downfall in the 1930s. Lustig partnered with 2 men from Nebraska to create a massive counterfeiting operation, printing thousands of dollars monthly. The operation was so large it caught federal attention. His downfall came from betrayal. His mistress discovered he was cheating and anonymously tipped off the FBI. On May 10, 1935, Lustig was arrested in New York with $51,000 in counterfeit bills. Chapter 8. The Great Escape. Even after arrest, Lustig pulled another con. The day before trial, he escaped the federal detention center by faking illness, fashioning a rope from bed sheets, and rappelling down the building. When people pointed at him, he pretended to be a window cleaner, bowed politely, and sprinted away. He evaded capture for 27 days before being arrested in Pittsburgh. Chapter 9. The End of an Era. Lustig was sentenced to 20 years in Alcatraz, where he was protected by Al Capone, who remembered their earlier encounter. His health declined as guards ignored his medical requests, thinking he was faking. Victor Lustig died of pneumonia on March 11, 1947, at age 57. Chapter 10. The legacy. Victor Lustig's story became legendary because he used pure psychological manipulation, never violence. He wrote the 10 Commandments for con men, including be a patient listener and never boast. The Eiffel Tower scam remains history's most famous con, proving you can convince anyone to buy anything with enough confidence. Lustig's techniques are still used by modern scammers today. His legacy serves as both an incredible story of criminal creativity and a warning about greed and misplaced trust. After all, if someone can sell the Eiffel Tower twice, what couldn't they convince you to buy?